Hello, fellow peasants. Today I'll be reviewing The Substance. Alright guys, I watched The Substance, finally got around to it. First time I watched it was on 4K here at my house, didn't see it in theaters. A lot of people have loved this film because of its message, because of its edginess, because of just how, original that it is in terms of concept. And so I finally got around to watching it, and I got it on 4K from a company called Diabolic DVD. Check them out sometime if you're a physical media collector like I am. It was a great, smooth process. I even got the film 3 days prior to release date, so can't complain. All right, so what is The Substance about? The Substance is about Demi Moore playing a aging television actress called Elizabeth Sparkle. And Elizabeth Sparkle is the star of a show. It's like an exercise show. And the Suits, the management, led by Dennis Quaid, tells her, look, you're old. You're getting old, baby. Like, we need someone new, someone fresh, someone sexier, someone better than you. So you're getting the boot. You're going out the door, and we're doing casting calls for your role. Well, she's not happy about that. She's clearly very vain, and no one wants to feel like they're getting old and they're not good looking anymore, none of that. But she's clearly obsessed with her image and her age to the point that she's willing to take this like black market drug called The Substance. And she takes this drug, and it ends up not being a good thing because she starts to abuse it. And she starts becoming greedy with it. And the rules, The Substance lays out the rules like, look, you get 1 week to be you, 1 week to be the other person. There's no exceptions. Like, you have to switch back every 7 days. Don't get greedy with it. You are not two separate people. You are still one person. So, and neither one of them in either body wants to obey by those rules, okay? And so it becomes a situation where things are taken too far. So what do I like? What do I not like about The Substance? What I like about The Substance is the premise. The best thing about this film is the premise. The fact, just the general story of this aging television star who decides to maintain her career in her youth by taking this this black market, off-market drug to make herself feel good. And the premise behind it, man, is just like, the moral of the story to this film is really just, like, you're good enough the way you are. You don't need to be young again. It's okay to age. It's okay to age. You don't need to be 19 forever, And you can take it too far, whether that's crash diets or Botox, or, there's unhealthy ways of obtaining these unrealistic goals that you can have for yourself. And The Substance really hammers that home, and they hammer home also like society's, the pressure that society puts on women more than men to look good. Aging is something that women aren't allowed to do, but guys are allowed to do. And so the whole idea behind the film, and the fact that she takes this drug in a desperate attempt to maintain her youth and beauty, is a very interesting and very original take. And I really like it. I really like the idea overall. The cinematography here is excellent. I really like the camera work, not just in terms of the camera angles, but the color that's used. I have the 4K. I just watched the 4K last night. The image is very clear. This is a digitally shot film. It looks very good. This is probably, I'd say, in the top few 4Ks that I own in terms of resolution. The color looks excellent here. I'll get into that later. You can watch my 4K transfer review that I'm going to do here in a bit. But the film looks very good. It's a very well shot film. So I really love the cinematography here. The use of color, the color palette that's used, very bright, very vibrant. It just plays into the world that they're creating. It really, the whole like LA I don't know how to describe it really, but it's a very well shot film. It looks very, very good. And there are also some very, I don't want to say the term weird, but just very non-conventional camera angles. Because sometimes you get these very beautiful still images, these still shots, and then you get some like almost like 360 like Requiem for a Dream angles where like the camera's clearly on like a GoPro or something in front of them and they're running around and it's got that like that type of angle look going on, you know what I mean? Kind of like this type of thing when like shit's getting out of control. So sorry to jerk the camera around like that, but I had to give you the visualization for what I was talking about. That kind of look. So like there's some of that in there too. So like it throws you off because you're like, oh, this was like super still, super sleek, and then all of a sudden we're doing some like, Big Brother freaking found footage shit, So it's cool. It breaks it up. The acting in here, the performances, very good. Demi Moore, I haven't seen a lot of her work, so I can't really say this is like her best or something like that. But it was a very good performance, very good, very believable. You can tell that she's genuinely pissed and angry that she's aging and she's disappointed in herself. And the moment that she starts to realize like that the drug's not working, you're just like, holy crap. Like you can sense like, because something's wrong with her body. Like there's a misuse, she even calls like the substance hotline and she's like, hey, there's been a slight misuse of the substance. And they're like, oh, sorry. She's like, and she's like trying to blame it on the younger her because of what she did during her 7 days or whatever. And the guy on the line's like, there is no her, there is no you, there was only one. And so, it's a very good story and performance because when something's wrong with your body, like when you're like, oh man, what the hell's this freckle? Or if you like cut yourself, you know what I mean? If you ever cut yourself and you just have that like, oh shit, like I hurt myself. That's kind of like the scariness that is portrayed in this when she realizes like something's wrong with her hand and her leg after the fact. So you have some of that like, oh shit, what have I done? This is like non-reversible. Like what is happening? So you have some of those moments in here. What else did I like? Dennis Quaid's performance is also very good. Dennis Quaid just plays a scumbag piece of shit. He just really does play just such a horrible human being. Just a Hollywood corporate CEO, doesn't care about people, just you're done, you're out the door, you're old. And he plays it perfectly. I mean, he just plays a freaking scumbag. So good. Trying to think of what else I really dug about the film. I guess I've already kind of said this, but just the message, the message. I mean, the premise kind of is the message, but the message is just, it's okay to get old. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to get old. And it also talks about the pressure that Hollywood puts on females as opposed to men. Guys can be in Hollywood looking old and nasty as shit until they're like 80 years old, but as soon as like a chick hits 50 years old, they're like, okay, well, you're too old. Like we need. That's why they always put like older guys with younger girls in movies. Like, like Daniel Craig's girlfriend in the last James Bond was like 28 years old or something. He's like 53. So like I like the message there that it's just kind of like it's a cautionary tale against sexism and all that crap. So what do I not like about The Substance? Well, the only thing I really don't like about the film The film had me 100% captivated until about the half-hour mark. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the film, you might want to dip out right now and come back. I normally only do non-spoiler and spoiler reviews separate when a film is still in theaters or just left theaters. But because it's had its full theatrical run and it's been several months and I think it's been streaming for a bit now, I'm just going to go ahead and talk some spoilers right now. So leave and come back or stay here, whatever you want to do. So you've been warned. 3, 2, 1. All right. I didn't care for the ending. I heard before I watched the film that the ending was make or break for some people, and I think it was break for me. To be honest, the film had me, I was fully engaged. I was super into it up until like the 2-hour mark or so. And then once I was okay with the fight scene between them. Okay, at one point, Elizabeth is fighting with Sue. They're going at it. They're fighting each other. And then she brings Sue back because she wants to use her to go to the New Year's Eve show, but she's all deformed, so she can't. So she uses Sue, and then Sue comes back to life after she terminates her. And then Sue, as this giant monster, at the end of the film, goes to the New Year's Eve thing and gets on stage and looks all nasty and monster-like. And everyone in the audience is just like, shoot the monster! It's a monster! It's an ugly monster! And I think the ending could have been so much... It's not the ending itself that... It's not the idea of the ending that's bad itself. It could have been done better. It just felt so slapped together. The film had a very serious thriller tone throughout the whole runtime. And then all of a sudden it just turns into this like B-level, almost comedy or something. And it's just so over the top. And they're like, there's just blood spraying everywhere in the audience. And people are screaming, the monster, it's an ugly monster. It just felt so... It's like, okay, the film did so good in terms of its serious tone, its sleek, professional, just, badass tone, the whole film. Very serious tone, I feel. And then it just jumps into this unserious comedic type thing, and it also did a very good job up until this point of getting the message across without slapping you across the face with it. Okay? And then once you get to the last 15-20 minutes of this film, it's just beating you with the message, and it was done so much better before when it was subtle and it was they were just showing you and not telling you. And I'm a big fan of like a movie showing me something as opposed to telling me something. Okay, and the last bit of this film, the last scene in this film, is just them just hammering home the message. And I, like I said, I'm fine with the message. The message is cool. It's a good message the film has. It's a good cautionary tale of what happens when you take things too far, and you can't just be happy with yourself the way you are. You know what I mean? But they really just hammer in that message at the end of the sexism and not accepting people and shit like that. And it's not done in a good way. It felt very forceful. And it just kind of lost some of that class and that tact that the film had prior to that. Well, it was doing the same thing. I mean, the whole film it was doing that the whole film, but it was done in such a better way. And they just had to, you know, I just felt like the film shit the bed in the last 15, 20 minutes. I'll be honest, I was very let down by the ending of this film because of the way they handled it. It's not because of all the blood spray. It's not because of how she, because after she leaves the studio where they're filming this, she runs out onto the street. You know, she's like all nasty and monster-like, falls down, busts wide open, blood all over the place, all over the Hollywood Boulevard or whatever. And then her face, which is still like attached or whatever, some gloopy thing, crawls across the Hollywood stars and she lands on her Hollywood star. And that's how the film ends. And I don't have a problem with all that in theory, you know. It's just, I don't know, something rubbed me about it the wrong way. Mostly just the dialogue in that last scene. If they'd have cut out it's a monster, it's an ugly monster, it would not have been near as cringe, okay? It could have been done so much better. So, do I have a problem with the concept of the ending? No. But the dialogue in the ending and just how the performances, everything just kind of felt just cheap. It just felt like they shot this. They're like, oh yeah, like, let's just not care at all. And just, I don't know, just like the production value, everything about the film just dropped massively in the last few minutes of this film. It did not feel like the same movie to me. And so that's why it's going to take a major hit when I give it a score here. So if I were to rate The Substance, I would probably, because of the ending, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I'm going to give it it's just like a solid C for me. Because the ending just really, it didn't do it for me. It didn't do it for me. I feel like if they would have handled it better, this film could have probably been in 8 or 9, okay? Because I was there, man. I was there the first few hours. Excellent, excellent. If I were to have directed the film, I was thinking last night after I watched the film, how would I have handled the ending of this film? Well, I personally wouldn't have even done the New Year's show at all. Okay, I would have ended it some other way. I'm not sure how exactly. Maybe Elizabeth does terminate Sue, right? And then that's how it ends. Or when they were having the fight, maybe Sue kills Elizabeth, and then Sue goes on to the show, because there's a point where Sue is like, she goes like 3 months without switching with Elizabeth, and she's fine. I wish that the time frame that Sue was like able to live without her for 3 months was when the film could end, possibly. Or like New Year's Eve is right when that 3-month window ends, and while she's on stage dancing or doing whatever, then she starts falling apart during that performance, as opposed to showing up as a full-fledged monster at the end. Like something like that, maybe, you know, and then go in full Carrie mode, you know, as she's falling apart on the stage, you know, she's tweaking and nose bleeding and all that. That it could have been done that way too. But showing up as the monster, like I said, I don't hate it, but I just think if you're going to do something like that, you need to do it to the caliber at which you did the rest of the film before that scene happened. Like, you got to do it to the same degree. You can't turn it into a cheap B-rated movie, okay? And that's how I feel about it. 7 out of 10 because of the ending. And but that's it, guys. Stay tuned for my 4K transfer review for the film. I will be posting that here at some point. I'm not sure when. But check that out. And let me know down in the comments below what you think about The Substance. Have a good one, guys. Peace out. Bye-bye.